Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we have two pivotal topics to be discussing and tackling during the Daily Debate for tonight. One of them, and the first one, which we'll be starting with, we will be dissecting the decision of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to be calling the House of Representatives to be convening for the 6th regular session according to the decision number 456 for the year 2025, for the 6th regular session to be convened for today on the 1st of October of this year for the second legislative term. As for the second topic, we will be of course taking another look and an important decision by the US President Donald Trump to be proposing a 21-point plan for the mediation efforts between the Israeli occupation forces, Israeli authorities, and the Palestinian fighters of Hamas, with the mediation of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt and Qatar. But we'll be starting straight away with the main first topic for today, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Councillor Hossam Deen Allam, the law expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. Of course, we did see today the decision by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to be calling on the House of Representatives to be convening for today for the second legislative term, and this is the 6th regular session. How do you see this decision by President al-Sisi?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on Night TV International. Definitely, this shows and demonstrates the healthy interaction and dialogue between the executive and the legislature. This is a constitutional decision, and we clearly see how is it one of the top issues that the Parliament addressed today is the decision by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to return the provisional and the code of criminal procedures to be reviewed with regards to particular articles.
Yes. How do you see the balance that we are having nowadays, and it is very evident during the practices and the decisions by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi for the past decade and maybe even more, to be balancing between the criminal justice and the freedoms and the rights of the Egyptian citizens?
Yes, definitely this is a very important question, and we see this reflected clearly when it comes to the keenness of the Egyptian presidency to return this project of the law, for it to be more fair and to be more accurate as per the official communique issued by the Egyptian presidency. There are clear reasons why the Egyptian presidency decided to return the law in its current form to the House of Representatives, and these concerns mainly centered on clarity, enforceability, and further human rights. It is true that the current new effort to come up with an update and with a modernization for Egypt's criminal procedure law is definitely one that introduces new innovations. For instance, we clearly see the stress when it comes to ensuring the rights of the accused and ensuring that the whole set of guarantees when it comes to the safeguards of human rights are fully observed, especially when it comes to the privacy and the inviolability of homes. Another aspect is the stress of further international judicial cooperation when it comes to criminal matters. Also, we see how is it the new endeavor to modernize the Egyptian criminal procedure law makes sure that it provides clear and strong safeguards when it comes to the rights of the witnesses and protecting them so that they can come up and give their testimony and their statements without any fear and without their lives and their security being in jeopardy. Moving to another very important aspect, and that's how the new law introduces the notion of electronic notification centers, and how is it this actually is in line with all the international set practices in this regard. And furthermore, when it comes to the innovations that the new law aims to introduce and for it to be part of the justice system in Egypt. However, still, we see the keenness of the Egyptian presidency to make sure that it is really a new code that strikes the right balance between all the requirements and all the prerequisites of expedited justice, fairness, and a comprehensive and a totally functioning justice system, in parallel with ensuring the effectiveness of the guarantees and the safeguards of individual human rights and liberties. So this is the main reason we see clearly reflected in the address of the Egyptian presidency as it was articulated and announced today at the House of Representatives. So we clearly see that it is not to reject the law, but rather to further refine it. So it is more of a pro-right step to show us that the process that Egypt undertakes to modernize its criminal justice system, and particularly when it comes to the law of criminal procedure, it is not just a matter of steps or just cosmetic changes, but rather it is the result of the outcomes of the national dialogue, the result of the discussions of the experts, of the legal professors of law, and all the concerned institutions that took part in the efforts and the endeavors that led up to the provisions that we see enshrined and embodied in the new criminal procedure code. This leads me to highlight a very important point, and that's how is it the statement of the Egyptian presidency made not only clear and explicit reference to the current Egyptian constitution of the year 2014 and its subsequent amendments, but furthermore the president made explicit reference to article number 9 of the International Covenant on both civil and political rights, singling a very important message, and that Egypt is not only committed to its national human rights safeguards, but rather even to the international human rights standards. And this is a very important message, because here it is very clear that Egypt is a nation that is striving to have this forward-looking vision and sight of making sure that it is a nation that has a justice system that is enshrined in its civilizational, long-rooted and deeply rooted civilizational history, and its legal leadership in the region and beyond, and to show that it is also making its best to benefit from the best practices of international experiences. And this is why we clearly see, and this is really a very important point, which has always been an issue of contentious debates, conversations and discussions, not only on the national public level, but even among experts. So we see it clearly on the social media and the concerned media outlets, and that's when it comes to the pre-trial detention or pre-trial custody. So we see that it is a procedure that aims mainly from a legal perspective to ensure the effectiveness of the investigation process. But still, in spite of the fact that the legislature did its best to ensure that there are non-custodial alternatives, still the President returned the law in its current form in order for it to be more open to further alternatives to the custodial nature of the pre-trial detention. So here, this is a very important point, because it reflects the keenness of both, and here we are talking about the Egyptian state, because it reflects both the keenness of the executive authority alongside with the parliament or the legislature or the legislative authority on ensuring that the upcoming or the new criminal procedure law of the Egyptian state is one that really is in full alignment with the atmosphere and with the philosophy of human rights and freedoms and liberties enshrined and stated clearly all over the articles and the provisions of the current Egyptian constitution, and that this upcoming law, it really translates all of them into a reality, so that the constitution is put into practice and is implemented on the day-to-day life. Because here, when it comes, and this is one of the reasons why the criminal procedure law is a very pivotal law or set of rules in any state, because actually it touches the day-to-day lives of all citizens in the society. So this is why we see this keenness to make sure that there are further non-custodial alternatives in order to ensure the freedoms and the liberty of the individuals in the society. So we see here this step in order to return the provisions and the current articles to again to the Parliament, in order to further look into further alternatives to make sure that it is the last resort as much as possible.
Can this bring the law, the Criminal Procedure Code or the Criminal Procedure Law, bring it closer to the international best practices, to the international standards that we aspire to be bringing this law to be there? But as well, we have the national interest considerations. Do you think that we can have this balance with the new law?
Yeah, I do think that this is a very delicate balance, and I do think that this is actually the utmost reason why the Egyptian presidency took the decision and to issue the directive of the return of the new criminal procedure law back to the House of Representatives.
Yes.
Again, not to reject it, but rather to refine it, in order to make sure that it is even clearer when it comes to the wording, the phraseology, and the statements of the articles themselves, as clearly stated in the official communique of the official spokesman of the Egyptian presidency. So definitely it's a very I would say, time-consuming and energy-consuming effort. But today, with the clear statement coming from the head of the Egyptian Parliament, he welcomed the address of His Excellency, the President, and he clearly stated the willingness of all of the members of the Egyptian Parliament and the concerned bodies and the particular committees within the Parliament concerned with this update and this renewal process to live up to the expectations of the Egyptian presidency, which are the ones, i.e. these expectations are the ones that reflect the expectations of the Egyptian people. So definitely it's a very delicate balance that needs to be struck here in this regard, but definitely I do think that Egypt has both the official will, the political will, as well as the legislative will to achieve this end.
Does this mean that we have the commitment by the Egyptian state and of course the will of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to be having this balance between the human rights of the Egyptian citizens and to be committed to the future of the criminal procedure law for the benefit of the citizens as well, according to the Constitution? Does this say about a lot about the transparency, the accountability, the fair trial standards that we are trying to set?
And the due process, of course, and again, because when we look into even the statement that was clearly articulated and announced and read out, not only in front of the whole Egyptian society, but in front of the whole world, it is very obvious and very clear that all the institutions of the Egyptian state are committed to work together to achieve this end of making sure that it is a new criminal procedure law that lives up to the expectations of the Egyptian people, because by the end of the day they are the ones who are directly affected by this law and its provisions. And the very important point that really shows this keenness here in this regard, Mr. Ahmed, how is it the address of the Egyptian presidency made it clear, due to the innovations and the new requirements that the articles of the proposed criminal procedure law come up with, he asked for the promulgation process to be postponed so that this law would come into effect at the beginning of the next judiciary year, in order to give the necessary time for the training and for the rehabilitation of all the concerned parties when it comes to the judges, when it comes to the prosecutors, when it comes to the policemen, and all the sectors and all the concerned
the whole process,
and also to make sure that the infrastructure is one that really in a position to accommodate all of these changes. Because, for example, the new law introduces the idea of electronic notifications, and even further to this point, one of the key points highlighted in the address of the Egyptian presidency is providing, so not only to rely on these new technologies, but also provide the possibility of recoursing to the traditional methods of notification, so that if there is any failure with the new electronic methods of notification, still this would not lead to disrupting the justice system.
And
so,
speaking of technology in specific, because we have seen on Friday during the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the Military Academy, his speech about the importance of the infrastructure that we have seen over the past decade and the digital infrastructure as well, but it is more about building the human cadres and the capabilities of the Egyptians. Councillor Hossam Deen Allam, the law expert, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. And this brings us to the end of